Hello and welcome back to the third installment of RaceCube Actions. Today, we're going to have a mix of exposition, practicalities, and philosophy. And I'll start by carefully aiming at my foot and ask, why bother? Why remember and practice and waste playing time on these complicated formulas when race decisions rarely come up? Great question, especially since the answer might save you from watching the damn thing. But how do we put a price on letting go? How about we do nothing? Never double, never redouble, and take, say, when we're at least 8 pips ahead. So, assuming we play perfectly in games without race decisions, our error rate there is 0. And that happens 96.3% of the time. And the price on the other 3.7%, which we calculate using the test suite, is 11 cents for every $1 per point game, giving us a total cost of 0.4 cents, 7 ELO points. I'm sure this pales in comparison to what I lose during contact and bear off. And on top of that, the formulas are optimized for money games and helpful only in balanced away scores, so not very useful, right? On the other hand, 11 cents per dollar is a tidy sum, and we humans don't play thousands of games in a few minutes, and wrong decisions can cost us the game, the match, or the PR battle, and leave us grumpy for a day. So why not employ Eyesight O throughout and shrink those 11 cents to 0.8 cents or 0.03 cents per dollar, half an ELO point, practically nothing. And that's what I meant by philosophy. There's reasonable arguments on both sides and no right answer. You can cite the low cost of being lazy and claim it's better to spend your time improving other aspects of the game or growing mushrooms, while others might take the mochi train and try to squeeze the last drop from each and every move and cube action. So it's up to you. Me, I'm going to ignore the issue and present the options as I see them to help you reach an informed decision. And we have 5 options to cover, and all share one major step: determining the raw pip count. It's trivial online. You usually get it for free, so it's harder to defend laziness when playing online. Over the board, I'm not qualified to give advice. Here's what I try to use when I play live. 2, 5, 10. I partition my side as shown, count the number of checkers in each zone, and multiply by the center point number. Then sum up. Now correct by moving pips towards the zone center to make checkers symmetric inside the zone. So here I add 2 for the checkers on the 11 point, and there's nothing to do inside the home board. Finally, add 7 for the checkers on the 7 point. Same procedure for white. Again, note that I'm adding only 2 for the checkers on the 3 point, since there's 1 checker on the 1 point. So the count is level at 71, and 2 moves later, we got here. We can repeat the counting process, but if you happen to remember the last count, you can simply subtract 16, 4 times 4, from black's count, and 6 plus 5 from white's to get 55 to 60. And Eddie stopped to consider the cube. Eddie is a world-class player and doesn't need Eyesight O help, but you might. So here's the rules for computing Eyesight O. Add 1 pip for each crossover. Here 1 for black and 2 for white. Add the difference in number of checkers remaining on the board to the side with more. Here black has 15 and white 12, so add 3 to black's count. Add 2 pips for each checker above 2 on the 1 point, 1 pip for checkers above 2 on the 2 point, and 1 for each checker above 3 on the 3 point. And correct for gaps as follows. Gaps change only black's count. Add 1 pip for any empty point between 4 and 6, whether white has a gap opposite or not, and subtract 1 pip for non-empty points if white's opposite point is empty. Sum the raw pip counts and corrections for each side, and inflate black's total by 1/6, round it down. Subtract to get black's adjusted lead. It's a double take between -6 and -2, and the redouble from -5 up. Eyesight Star is slightly different. You add the 1/6 at the start and use a slightly smaller window, from -5 to -2. And this is how Eyesight Star would have worked for Eddie. 1/6 of 55 is 9, giving 64, so down 4 in raw pips. Same crossovers, same number of checkers, no change. Add 1 pip for Kent empty 4 point, and 1 pip for the 3 checkers versus 2 on the 2 point. So 2 adjusted pips behind. A strong double and a bare take according to Eyesight Star. Note again the difference between the reference slide and application. The reference slide unambiguously states the exact definition, while the computation over the board is incremental. It's almost trivial online, and not that bad over the board with some practice. Eyesight O concurs. Let's move to WordStar. Here we inflate by 10%, add 1 pip per crossover as usual, 2 pips for each checker on the board, 1 pip for each empty point, and 2 for each checker above 2 on the 1 point, and 1 for each checker above 2 on the 2 point. The window is -1 to 3, and 0 is the redouble point. Eddie would go 55 plus 10% is 60, so 0. Add 1 for the gap and 1 for the extra checker on the 2 point, giving 2. Again a double take. For Keystar, which I'll dub K-Star from now on to reduce hissing and 5 takes to get Keith right. So for K-Star, inflate by 1/7 and add 1 pip for each high empty point, but ignore crossovers. 2 pips for checkers above 1 on the 1 point, 1 pip for checkers above 1 on the 2 point, and 1 for checkers above 3 on the 3 point. The doubling window is -4 to -1, with a redoubling point of -2. And for Eddie, 55 plus 1/7 is 62, so down 2, 1 wide gap -1, -2 pips for the 1 point, and plus 1 pip for the 2 point, -2, a double take. And last, Thorpe Star. Inflate by 10%, but only if black's row count is more than 30. 1 pip for crossovers and gaps, 2 pips for checkers on the board, and 1 point for each checker on the 1 point. Window is -1 to 3, and redoubles from 1. For Eddie, 55 plus 5 is 60, even, 1 gap for white, and 1 extra checker on the 1 point for black. Dead even again. Still double take, but not a redouble, so Thorpe is a little off on this position. 5 methods and 2 humans all agree on the double take. And so we return to the usual question: who needs these formulas if it's that obvious? And to my usual answer: it might be obvious to experts, but I usually need some help. And raised positions with the row count of 55 to 60 are quite diverse. The cubeless win percentage ranges from 32 to 90%, and split 40%, 34%, and 26% for no double, double take, and double drop respectively. And while some are easy, in the sense that all methods agree on the correct cube action, and so one hopes will be easy for humans, there's no shortage of challenging positions. I suggest you pause the video right here and see how easy you find these 6. So on to the next routine question on your list. Which should I use? Which is the best? And the usual answer: it depends. This is my take. Thorpe Star and K-Star are weaker than WordStar, and not easier to compute. Eyesight O is only slightly better than Eyesight Star, and more cumbersome over the board, which leaves us with Eyesight Star and WordStar. I prefer WordStar because I find it a bit easier to compute, but I'm sure I could master Eyesight Star with a little practice. Again, it's up to you, but maybe don't bother, because here comes the next obvious question, or complaint actually. You're telling me I need to practice and remember 2 formulas, one for race and one for bear-off? Inconceivable! Yes, it's annoying, but race and bear-off are different, and the best race formulas aren't the best for bear-off, and vice versa. And yet you insist. Okay, let's work the numbers. The cost of race is between 0.4 cents per game when doing nothing, and 0.03 cents when using Eyesight Star. For bear-off, the cost of doing nothing is 2.7 cents per game, and the cost of using Eyesight Star is 1.75 cents. That's because bear-off is reached 22.2% of the time, and the cost of doing nothing, which we compute from the test suite, is 12 cents per game. So bear-off cost dominates performance, which means using a better bear-off method throughout has lower cost overall. But I can't champion pep count as a sole method. Here's why. Nick was correct not to double, but pep count would, because it ignores gaps and wastage, and would skip a very strong double 2 moves later, for the exact same reason. We know gaps and wastage are key factors in long races, and pep count does well because it excels in short races. So, if you insist on using a single formula, I recommend K+. K+ is identical to K star, but with a -3, -1, -1 doubling window. And it handles long races much better. 1/7 of 60 is 8, so 2 behind, 2 gaps, 1 extra checker on the 1 and the 2. That's a whooping 7 behind. It's a no double take. And here, 46 to 7 is 6, so 4 behind, but the 2 gaps and the extra wastage sum to a double take. So use K+ if you insist on a single method, but I implore you to reconsider and use 2 methods, K star and pep count, combined in a novel way. Use K star for everything while both sides have at least 5 checkers on the board. Otherwise, use pep count. Pep count is easy to compute and remember, so not a big burden. It sounds strange at first. How come using pep count just for the very last stage of bear-off makes such a difference? Turns out, while there are only 23 million such positions with one side having less than 5 checkers, they turn up a lot. 1 out of 3 bear-off position you play has 4 less checkers on one side. Bear-off with a few checkers is really inefficient. So let's take K star C for a drive around the block. 6 away 4 away is not a balanced score, but it's a gammonless position. So let's hope the 4 away is not a problem and money decisions are close enough. Contact broke with a 6-5 and Kit is on roll. It doesn't look promising, but White has 8 checkers on the 1 and 2 points, so let's go through the motions. 70 plus 10 is 80, so 25 behind. Wastage and gaps bring it down to -17, a long way from anything. A nice roll for Kit. GL clearly doesn't need to count. A subpar roll for GL, but is it enough? It's still 16 pips down after inflating, so 8 down, and a clear no double from K star. Kit thinks for a little, then rolls. Another mediocre roll for GL. Now what? It's still 13 pips down after inflation and -5 after adjustment, so not enough for a double by K star, but it is a strong money double, and probably even stronger at 6 away 4 away. Yet it's not obvious, and even a legend like Kit took his time. Note that stronger race methods like Ward Star and Eyesight Star get it right. It's -11 after inflation, but the wastage on the 1 point and the 2 checkers off by Kit make it a double according to Ward Star. Kit doubles, and GL snaps, or knew the cube is coming and worked it out already. Kit rolls poorly. and GL shakes a monster. Now Kit needs at least a double 3 to stave off a redouble, and most rolls lead to a drop. But Kit has seen it all before and calmly rolls a double 6. 6-1 by GL, and here, in an alternate universe where Kit uses K-star and did not double, K-star would correctly double drop. Double 1 by GL, a very nice roll. A good 6-4 by Kit. A joker 2-2 by GL. And an anti-joker by Kit. This is where pep count's supposed to shine, but it spoils my whole narrative. It's a clear double drop, but pep count sees 9 pips to 7 minus 2, so says double take. Kit still thinks a little, because after a drop he has 20% in the match and can redouble on the next roll for the match. But to lose, GL would need to roll 1 twice, and that's far from 20%. So Kit did everything right and lost 2 points, while K-star, by incorrectly not doubling, would have won 1 point. But we've all been there before, losing after making good decisions and benefiting from our errors. My opponents certainly do. And on this cheerful note, I want to sum up and repeat my recommendation. 1. Don't fret too much about race cube decisions. They don't come up often enough to hurt your bottom line. But you should care about Bear-off. 2. Use nothing or any system you like. But remember, the systems I showed you perform better than any other system or variant I've seen, including some I didn't have time to discuss. 3. You can start by using K-star or K+ online. The cost is minimal. Later, if you want to up your game, use WardStar or Eyesight Star for long races and pep count for short ones. And even do both when faced with an important decision and the clock allows it. 4. Always regard these as guides. All formulas make mistakes, and you should use your own judgment, which you should base on race, score, wastage, gaps, crossovers, and the number of checkers remaining. Eventually, you might get stronger than any of them. And last, play enough to stay sharp. It's annoying how fast you get out of shape. It's a sport like any other. If you play for fun, release all pressure by doubling at the first opportunity. 6. Don't take me, backgammon, or life too seriously. In that order. Thanks as always for reaching the end, and if you did, please like the video so others can find it. Happy racing everyone. Adio.